Anabolic Academy on Serious and Silliness Bodybuilding. Of course, everybody knows this is where you ask me questions on Instagram. I've actually got questions on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok. So on Instagram, it's Serious and Silliness. Facebook and TikTok, it's John Livia. Obviously, on YouTube, it's Serious and Silliness Bodybuilding. Or you can email me, UncleJohn1201 at Gmail, or John_Livia at Yahoo. But I want to thank everybody sincerely, because last week I didn't get any questions, and I did that, that funny bit with my wife where she sent me all the questions. But now this week I have a ton of questions. So I want to thank everybody, because that proves that my channel is growing. And without you guys, I wouldn't be able to continue doing the show. So thank you very much. Well, without further ado, why don't we just jump right into the questions? So we're going to do the Instagram questions first, because we got a whole bunch of Instagram questions. So the first Instagram question is from Marcus. He has 4 different questions. Have you only run TRT? Yes, I have only run TRT. When I am not using anything, which is usually throughout the winter time, it's usually October, November, December into January. I usually just run, TRT, 100 to 200 milligrams a week of testosterone. And the reason why I do that is because I know my levels being 47 are going to be low to begin with. So when I come off everything after I do the HCG and the Clomid and whatnot, I just keep a TRT going until I'm ready to do the next cycle. That's really it. I come off every year for like 4 months. And I get blood work done. I go get my heart checked. I get a full physical, and I make sure everything is fine. And now that I'm older, I don't use any orals anymore. I don't use any really, really hard compounds like Tren or Masteron or Halotestin, nothing like that. I usually keep a testosterone and GH for the most part. That's usually it. I might throw DECA in if my joints hurt, but for the most part, that's all I'm using now as a guy over 40. Next question from Marcus. What do you recommend for newbies, injections or orals? Okay. First of all, newbies, I recommend you be over 21. I don't recommend anybody in high school or under 18. I recommend 21, over 21. I want you to be mentally prepared for it and completely physically formed, if that makes sense, right? Here's what I recommend. Do your research. Make sure you do a ton of research, and there's plenty of information out there. Okay. Also, make sure you're training, right? Because I get this a lot. I get guys that go into they want to work out, but they're not going to work out unless they're using anabolics. And that's just a waste. Okay. Make sure you're training, because if you use anabolics, it should be just a tool. It should not be the entire thing. Right. So make sure you're training, make sure you're eating right as possible. Make sure you're getting your sleep. I mean, if you've been training for 6 months to a year and you're over 21 and you want to try something, keep it simple, testosterone and EQ, testosterone and DECA. I don't really, obviously they're injectables. You really don't have to use orals if you don't want to. They're a little harder on your body. If you do, I would use, probably D-bol or Anadrol. I know it sounds crazy, but Anavar is such a weak drug. A lot of girls use it. You need a very, very significant amount of milligrams in order to see it. And if you use Dianabol, Anadrol for 6 weeks as a young man, your body's going to bounce back like that. No harm is going to be done. Odds are no odds is going to be done. Again, I am not promoting the use of anabolic steroids. All I'm doing is answering a question that somebody is giving me. Okay. But if you're a young man and you have all those things laid out, your workout, your food, you love working out, maybe you want to compete one day or whatever the case may be, and you're really into it and you're over 21 years old, and I would say just an injectable testosterone, maybe some DECA or EQ. I've always preferred DECA because it helps with the joints and pain, and it actually lubricates your joints and whatnot, and you don't have any pain or stress on your joints. Anyway. All right. Third question from Marcus. Is it possible to gain serious muscle and lose fat while being natural at 41? Okay. Here's the thing. Don't worry about gaining serious muscle. Just worry about being the best person you could be. So worry about being a better version of you physically. Look, there are people that look at weights and grow. There are people that work out forever and you can't tell, but it all helps. Internally, if you can't tell, it's going to help. And it's obviously going to grow some muscle. It might be minuscule. It might be huge. Everybody is different. Obviously, as you get older, it becomes less and less possible to gain huge amounts of muscle, especially being natural. But the truth of the matter is, there are two things you can't do anything about: your age and your genetics. So don't even worry about them. Don't even consider, don't be like, oh, my genetics suck, my whole family's fat, and I'm not going to be able to look good. Forget it. Don't, just go to the gym, do your best, be the best version of you, and don't worry about your age. If you get started working out at 60, it's better than never. And just try to be the best person that you can be in the gym, working out, and try to beat your personal goals. Don't worry about getting huge or anything like that. All right. If it comes, it comes. If it doesn't, don't worry about it, as long as you're making progress. And the fourth question from Marcus: what is the best and safest cutting compound? There's no safe. You're all going to take chances. I mean, do I think it's as harmful as the mainstream media makes it out to be? No, I don't. There's too much research on it. Do I think people can abuse it? Yes. But any drug you take is going to have some kind of side effects and some kind of unsafe reaction, if you will, even if it's mediocre, even if it's not mediocre, but even if it's just an inconvenience like acne, or you lose your hair, or something like that, right? Look, man, there is no safe cutting compound. If you want to do a cutting cycle, just do it. Okay. If you don't want to, don't worry about it. If you're worried and concerned and paranoid about using an anabolic steroid, don't do it, because I've seen this too many times where people are paranoid. They are going to waste their money and be afraid to use it. And they're going to use it a little bit, and then they're going to be afraid, and they're going to worry about the consequences. They're going to worry about the side effects. They're going to worry about what they're doing to their body. They're going to be wasting their time, and they're going to be wasting their money. So just, if you don't want to do it, don't do it. If you want to do it with intelligence, research moderately, because you don't need a lot. A safe, I don't know. What do you want to call a safe cutting stack? There really is no safe cutting stack. I don't do it. I don't do any cycle without testosterone. So, I mean, you can cut with anything, really. I mean, really, it also comes down, you can cut with testosterone and EQ. And if you're hitting the gym hard and you're cleaning up your diet, you're doing cardio, believe me, you're going to get cut. You're going to lose body fat. You're going to see a lot more definition in the muscle. Okay. Next question is actually from Ryan78 on Instagram. Tips for bringing up a lagging body part. Okay, well, obviously it depends on the body part, right? Like, for example, like if your body part that's lagging is legs or back, you want to hit the free weights hard and heavy, right? With back, you want to do deadlifts, you want to do bent over rows or rack pulls, one arm rows, those heavy compound movements to build that back. That was my problem when I first jumped into the gym as a kid and whatnot. I never had a great back, but the difference between when I first started working out and only using pulleys and pull downs and pull-ups and stuff like that, and then actually incorporating deadlifts and T-bar rows and rack pulls, I mean, it was night and day. It was just night and day. Now, and the same thing with legs, right? If you're training legs and you're not squatting and you need to grow, you got to squat. I mean, you have to squat, and you got to squat heavy for a lot of reps. That's just the way it goes. And you got to push yourself and push yourself and push yourself. And also don't do it more. In my experience, don't do it more than once a week, because you need to give that time to that muscle to grow and to adapt, especially if you're really hitting the muscle really, really hard. Okay. But if it's things like maybe your biceps or your calves, you might have to, and you're having trouble with them growing, you might have to try things like, a higher rep range. With biceps maybe, and triceps maybe, try using pulleys, all different version of pulleys for triceps and different versions of curls for biceps. Incorporate probably every angle you can in that workout. And again, I still don't believe in training anything 2 or 3 times a week. I believe that is overtraining for the majority of people, because the majority of people don't get enough rest. They don't get enough food and calories. And even if you are, and you're really hitting it hard, I don't think it is necessary to train several times a week on one body part. Like, the best analogy I ever got about bodybuilding was from Dorian Yates. And he was on Joe Rogan. And Dorian Yates said, make believe your hand is a muscle, and you take sandpaper and you rub it for an hour and it's bleeding. And then what happens is you leave it for 7 days. And by the time the 7th day comes around, it's healed. But not only it's healed, it has adapted. It has become calloused. So your hand gets thicker. And the same thing happens to your muscle. And then when you go back to it, you got to do it even harder. You got to train even harder. And then it becomes calloused even more so, and adapts even more so. But you got to give your body time to rest, especially if you're going in the gym with intensity and really training hard to the point of, failure or training beyond failure, as we've spoke about in the past. Okay. Again, Ryan78, what training split has worked best for you, and were you a low or high volume trainer? Okay. Well, when I've trained one body part a day, like I usually, that was always my best split. I do chest one day, back one day, shoulders one day. Then I do like arms and legs. And that's always been the best way. I mean, I've tried, chest and buys and shoulders and back. And we've all tried different ones, but the best results I ever get was that when I completely isolate the muscle and concentrate on that one muscle, that's when I've gotten the best results. It doesn't mean it's going to work for everybody, but that's what works for me. As far as low to high rep range, I always tried both. So what I mean by that is I would always do a high volume. When I mean high volume, 10 to 15 reps, right? Anywhere from 8 to 10 to 15, 12, 15 reps. But then I would try to push the weight, because you got to break through that barrier. So the last set, I would maybe, if I only got 4 or 6, I would try to push through that barrier, and then maybe I would do an immediate drop set, right? Because I wanted to get stronger, because the stronger the more you push and the more weight you push, the more reps you can get, the more your muscle has to adapt and grow and get bigger and stronger and so on and so forth. There was a time where I had a trainer, and it wasn't his fault, because this was his philosophy. He had me training 20, 30, 40 reps. And I got really lean and really hard. I didn't have this round muscle that I like to have. And it was because of the way I was training. That's the way I was training. And he liked that, because that worked for him. And he made all his athletes do that. Okay. And what's funny is that his best athletes are men's physique, or the women, because that's usually what works for them. Right. Okay. Next question. Obviously, from Fran is the man, because guess what? Fran is the man. And happy birthday to your little girl. I understand she is 1. Happy birthday. God bless you guys. You have a beautiful family, Fran. The first question from Fran is the man. What's your thoughts on fish oil and recommended dosage? Okay. So I don't really do fish oil. So I do a little research. I never really used fish oil before, but with the little bit of research I did, it was 1 to 2 grams a day. And those dosages came from the American Heart Association, Mayo Clinic, and the National Institute of Health. All recommended between 1 and 2 grams of fish oil a day. And the benefits I actually had to look up, because like I said, I never used fish oil. So unfortunately, I only research in depth what I want to use, right? But what's helpful is when you guys ask me questions like this and I don't use it, or I don't know, I have to research it before I do this so I can give you an answer, right? So here are the general benefits of fish oil. Anti-inflammatory, enhances immune function, treats Crohn's disease. Really? Okay. Lowers high triglycerides, helps premature infants with catch-up growth. Oh, I didn't know that. Can help treat depression. Okay. Can decrease, I don't even know that word. Atherosclerosis. Don't even know that word. Can lower the risk of cancer. Used to treat schizophrenia and attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Really? Okay. Can help lower blood pressure. Can be used to treat kidney disease. So that's basically all of the added benefits. Now, like I said, I don't really use it. Never really had a need to use it. In the future, if I do, I will do more research. But basically, that is your answer, Fran. Next question from Fran is the man. Does being friends with Phil Clayart ever motivate you to make a comeback to compete? No, there is no way I'm competing. I don't care if I was friends with Derek Lunsford, Heidi Chupin, Jay Cutler, and Ronnie Coleman, and they all came on my podcast every day. I'm still not competing. Forget it. Phil is a great guy. Phil is a freak of nature. Okay. And the reason why I say that is he turned pro as a Masters, and he actually wins open shows, being older than every other bodybuilder. This year he was 49, and he made it to the Olympia. I mean, there's not too many guys that do that, man. I mean, really, Phil is a freak. Okay. Nobody does that. Dexter, the special guys do that. Phil is a special bodybuilder because he was able to just pick up where you left off and took off from there. You know, I wouldn't be able to do that. You know, what do you want me to do? Go back to the NPC, go do the Brooklyn show again that I did in 2014? Forget it. I love doing this. This is my passion. I love getting involved with you guys, doing the podcast, talking about the gossip, doing Anabolic Academy, having the guys like Phil and Dorian on and talking about bodybuilding. This is what I like to do, and this is what I'm going to continue to do until I'm a huge success. I usually have this saying, I'm not going to stop doing this until I have a booth at the Olympia with large-breasted ladies and Hell's Angels as security. All right. Next question, again, from Fran is the Man. Sorry, I had to change the paper because I got so many questions this week. Next question from Fran is the Man. How big should someone's arms be in inches for people to know he works out? Yeah, that's rough, man, because there's so many shapes and sizes of different shapes and sizes of people. You know, if a guy is shorter in stature, you know, and his arms are compact, obviously his arms are going to be thicker and bigger than somebody who is 6'2" or 6'3". I don't think there is a number in inches to see somebody works out. Again, you know, the gyms I've gone to, there are guys there that work out and they just look in shape, you know, they don't have these huge arms, but I know they go there because I see them. And kudos to them because they're hitting the gym. And then there are guys I've been in the gym with where arms that look like, you know, they're bigger than your head, like Sean Clarita, and his biceps are insane. So there's really no real answer to that, man, because some people have a lagging body part. Some people train not to be huge. Some people genetically just can't get big arms, but they're still in the gym training. Some people's stature, physical stature is different. Like I said, somebody could be very tall and lanky. Somebody could be short and you know, thick. So it's really there's really no answer to that question. Last question from Fran is the Man. Favorite gym you ever trained at? All right. Well, as far as equipment, Signature Fitness in Belleville has amazing equipment. Well, my favorite gym was when I first moved to New Jersey, and I was looking for a gym, and there was one right by me. And my wife had a client. You know, my wife has a hair salon. This is before she had a hair salon. She was working for somebody, but one of her clients told her, "Oh, John would like this gym. It's a real musclehead gym, hardcore, blah, blah, blah." And that was Guy's Gym in Hawthorne. And I went, and it was a small, hardcore gym. The owner was Guy Del Corso, and prayers to him now because I know he's in the hospital. He's an elderly guy. I think he's in his 70s, and he's been a fixture in bodybuilding for a very, very, very long time. So I hope he gets better and comes home soon. But his gym, when I went there, it was like family. It was like family. The guy, everybody knew each other. Everybody helped each other. I mean, don't get me wrong. You had assholes, but you have assholes in every gym, right? And you would go there, and he would have a chair. He would have a chair, and it was actually like a chair that you would have in a classroom with the table that flips up, and he would sit in the middle of the gym, and that's how he would train people. He would sit there, and people would bring he would say, bring a notebook, you know, and he would bring his notebook, and he would take the notebook, and he would say, okay, this now you're talking about this guy was in his 60s at this point, right? Or late 50s, early 60s at this point. And he's been working out since he was a kid and competing forever. So he would say, okay, this is what you got to do. Okay, go ahead, go do it. And he would sit there and he wouldn't move. And he would watch you. He would watch you from the chair, and he'd be like, no, that's not what I told you to do. Right. And then if you didn't use him as a trainer, you know, as long as you were respectful and whatnot, you could train and work out and whatnot. And he trained me for 2 shows. He trained me just to train me in the gym. And he actually wound up being a little bit of a mentor when I had problems. There was a time I had problems, personal problems. I went to him to speak to him, and he was more of a friend and a mentor. And, you know, he guided me. And I would say overall, out of all the years I've been in the gym, that was probably my favorite because he made you feel like family, and you can go to him for help, whether it was in the gym or outside the gym. So God bless Guy Del Corso, and hope he gets better soon. Okay, where am I? Where the hell am I? Okay, next question. Hit Fit Performance. First question: will you let your wife submit questions to Anabolic? No. That is never happening again. Even though it turned out funny, that is never happening again. 2, What is your favorite bodybuilder from the early 2000s? Oh, it's easy. Branch Warren. Branch. Especially when YouTube became popular and like you saw him training with Johnny Jackson. Oh my God. That was like, you would put that on and you'd go right to the gym. And I remember what I used to try to dress like him. I know this is corny. This is really corny. I used to try to dress like him. So I used to go to the gym in like camo shorts and work boots and like a black tank top, because I'm an asshole and I admired him, and he would go to the gym. He would train like a fucking monster. The form obviously wasn't the best, but to watch it and get you motivated to get your ass to the gym, it was fantastic. For you young guys out there who don't know, just Google Branch Warren Unchained, or Branch Warren in the gym, or Branch Warren and Johnny Jackson in the gym, or Branch doing Chaz, whatever. Believe me, there's nothing like it. It's unbelievable. If that doesn't get you getting to want you to go to the gym, nothing will. All right. Okay. Oh, this is from last week. I had some YouTube questions underneath the comments of my YouTube. So this person, YouTube KSF6621. My favorite cutting stack. My favorite cutting stack was always testosterone. I usually preferred SUS, Tren, GH. That was always my favorite cutting stack. My favorite bulking stack. My favorite bulking stack was SUS, D-Ball, Deca, GH. That was my favorite bulking stack. Your first cycle. Oh God. My first cycle, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I think I was like 21. And this guy, I don't even know if it was real or fake. You know what I mean? Like I bought SUS, D-Balls, they were Russian D-Balls, and Deca. And I did it for like 8 weeks or 9 weeks. And I think I remember putting on 13 pounds. I had no idea what I was doing. And then once I was done, I stopped cold turkey. And I remember like my testosterone level dropped. I didn't know why. And I had to go find out. And a friend of mine said, you got to use Clomid. And I had to buy Clomid from him, and he gave me the Clomid. And like a week later, it was like jumped right up, but that was my first time on Tren. Well, I think the first time on Tren was actually in the late 90s when it wasn't Tren. It was this pharmacy. You guys could help me out. What was the name of it? It wasn't Duratest. The fuck was it? Shit. I can't remember. But it was like Dorian Yates talks about it. It was like 76 milligrams or something like that. What the fuck was it? Now I got to look it up because I don't remember. Okay. Finally found it. It was called Parabolin. Phenoplex, but it was called Parabolin. That's what it was called. And it was like 70, and I think it was like the 1999 I was using it. And I remember sweating my ass off. I remember if I was in the gym, I was sweating. If I woke up, I was sweating. And I remember going to I used to go to like a tanning salon. I used to remember not waking up. Listen to me. I used to remember getting out of the tanning salon, and the whole thing was just wet, soaked with sweat. And I would I was embarrassed because the girls would have to come and clean it. So I would clean it up first, beforehand. That was my first experience with Tren. First and worst roid rage. I don't roid rage. I never have, never will. I get angry like everybody else, but nothing was directly related to using anabolics. So that's done. Did I ever use DNP? No. And you got to be fucking nuts to use it. Do not use DNP. Please don't. DNP is this really, really, really hazardous weight loss product, and it is extremely harmful. So do not use it. I don't have time to get into the details, but do not use DNP. And that concludes this episode of Anabolic Academy. So guys, thank you so much for all the questions. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you. And of course, Dorian Haywood's coming back. Phil Clayhart's coming back for Muscle Talk. We got a lot to talk about. And if you haven't seen my interview with Sergio, or if you haven't seen my reaction video to Fuad and Greg Valentine, believe me, good stuff. Go check it out. Like, share, subscribe. All right, guys. Later. Peace.